Hey guys, Ben America's Baseball Camps, just touching base in regards to your swing from the Arizona camp. I just wanted to touch base to review some things, and let's get started here. So let's first talk about the swing mechanics in our stance. Stance looks pretty good. A couple things I would change, and again, I'm just going over some things that I would recommend with you to work on. Doesn't mean you have to do them, just recommendations that we would suggest that you try. And try it 100 times and see how it does. If it doesn't do any better, then you can go back, but just things that we see from a professional standpoint. So let's go ahead and get started here. So first thing I want to chat about in regards to is your stance and work on your feet. One thing I would like to see here is you've got to get your knees more inside of your feet. You'll notice that your feet are turned more out, and I want them to be more turned in, and that's going to take your knees be more inside of your feet. Your knees will come over here, and you'll get a lot stronger. You kind of have your feet turned out, and that's going to make a big difference in regards to getting all your body weight into the ball better. So that's a big one to work on in here in regards to your swing. As I go to my step, another thing that we need to work on here as I go to my stride, you can see those feet are really turned out. We need to have those feet completely turned in. Pointing not at each other but more towards the plate, and that's going to make a big difference for you for that. So getting into your stance, let's get into as you go to do land foot, you can see that front foot is really beginning to open up on us, and right now that heel is facing the screen over here. What we need to do is that heel needs to face these guys over here that are on deck. And that's very important because that's going to create a firm, closed front side. And right now, we're hitting with an open front side, which is going to be all arms, lose our power, and a lot of things are going to kind of deteriorate as we go through our swing to be more arms than more body. If we have 480 pounds or 100 pounds in weight, we want to make sure that that transfer of weight gets into the baseball and makes the ball just jump off the bat. And having more power, you can go ahead and do that. So very important in regards to that when you're working on your stride to kind of put that foot up, going back and down, and just make sure that that front foot stays really closed. And that's going to be really important that right now of your swing, that heel should be facing these guys over here that are waiting for their video eval. So make sure that that heel is really turned towards not towards the third baseman, but more towards that third base dugout when you're hitting, and that's going to be very important. The other thing I see we need to be cautious of is you see when I get down towards contact, as I back it up here, you can see, watch out for this lower arm to make sure. You can see that that's pretty straight, and you want to make sure that kind of stays bent. You don't want to have that arm straighten out until contact. It gets a little bit firm. You should still have a pretty good arc in that arm right now, and that's going to be pretty important when you're hitting. So a good drill to do, what I would be, is right now, this needs to just be resting on our arm and have someone do soft toss with a wiffle ball or tennis balls for you, and just lay it on your shoulder, and then you take it off your shoulder with like a t-ball bat or a wiffle ball bat or something that's really light, and you want to get extension at contact or right before contact. And you want to get extension a little bit early. It's going to make you cast what's called drift or cast around the baseball. And instead of taking that knob to it, we call it being short to the ball and then long through the ball. And that's going to make a big difference in regards to our swing. At contact's pretty good. Contact position, your head is on the baseball, palm up, palm down position. You have a nice angle on your leg. You are a little bit, again, very, very too far open on the front leg. You can see this front leg here. And you also have a bend in that front knee. And that's very important to have a firm, closed front side. So we want this nice and firm. It doesn't have to be locked out, just nice and firm. And this front foot has to be really closed off. You can see it's more pointing towards the pitcher, first baseman, whereas right now you want that toe to be facing towards the first base dugout. And I think that's very important in regards to your swing. See at the end of our swing, again, that couple things we got to focus on. Look at the back side, and your hips didn't get through. If I draw a little arrow around your front hip and your back foot, you can see that they didn't get turned enough, so they have to keep continuing the turn. That's going to help you to stay through the baseball longer, get you a lot more consistent, get you a lot more line drives and that type of thing. So that's very important in regards to staying through the baseball at finish, so you can try to hold your finish and make sure that that front side doesn't get bent on you and really focus on your finish to hold your finish and freeze. Make sure that that back side is turned, that hip is all the way into the front side, and that front leg is nice and firm with your toe pointing more at the first base dugout. And that's going to be a big one in regards to that. Just getting consistent with that is going to make a big difference in your swing. Again, you can see that those feet are kind of turned out, and we are crouched a little bit too low. I'd get a little bit higher. You can get a little bit stronger, a better athletic position compared to being too kind of low. I think your knees are too bent here, but more importantly, you can see those feet are still turned out, and that's going to be, you can see that front foot is just really turned out right now, which means they're going to be all arms, and also, too, you can see that there's a big bend in that front knee, and that's going to take away a lot of power. You straighten it out a little bit at contact, which is better, but again, it can be really closed off where those feet are turned in. Going to keep that weight inside of our feet. Let's check out that bottom arm on this one. Bottom arm still a little bit firm. You can see it kind of straightens out on you right here. So just make sure that that stays nice and bent. As you go forward, you can see it's kind of locked, and that's going to make us long to the ball, so keep a nice bend at that right here. And you don't want your arm to look like that until it's out in front and at contact. You'll get away with it with slower pitching, but as the pitching gets quicker and faster, you won't be able to get away with that. Let's see how the finish did. It's almost like you turn, you can see at contact you turn well, and your hips go, and then at contact you kind of recoil. You can see now you kind of turn that foot back. And if anything, you want to rotate the other way, so it's really going to get your hips and your body weight through the baseball. So you can practice this on tee work and short toss and soft toss. You know, finish that landing. You can see how those feet kind of, you can't hold your finish very well. So just something to work on as you move forward, and some things that you can work on throughout the year and do some tweaks. But we appreciate you coming to Arizona. I look forward to having you back, and we wish you the best.